We are back. This is Ryan Moon on Parlay News, where we are covering the hottest sports prediction markets on Kalshi right now. Our show today is about why the Charlotte Hornets are surprisingly favoured at 61% despite coming off a grueling overtime battle that could leave them exhausted. Can a 10-year playoff drought end on tired legs in a hostile building, or is the market missing the desperation of a team that just watched redemption slip away at home? Charlotte Hornets at Orlando Magic. Friday night. Winner gets the East's 8th seed and a date with destiny. Loser goes home and spends the summer asking what went wrong. Over $1 million in 24-hour volume on Kalshi tells you everything you need to know about the stakes. This isn't basketball. This is sudden death with a basketball. Let me paint you the picture. The market's pricing at 61 cents for Charlotte. That's the price of deliverance for a city that hasn't seen playoff basketball in nearly a decade. Think about that timeline for a second. When the Hornets last made the playoffs, we were still pretending the Warriors dynasty might not happen. LeBron was in Cleveland. The world was different. And Charlotte? Charlotte has been wandering in the wilderness ever since, collecting lottery picks like participation trophies and watching every other franchise in their division celebrate postseason runs while they cleared out lockers in April. This isn't just another game for the Hornets. This is biblical. They just survived overtime against Miami 3 days ago. 127-126, the kind of gut check win that either validates a season or exhausts a team right before the moment that actually matters. They've won in Madison Square Garden in Minnesota and now in Miami under maximum pressure. The narrative writes itself. Scrappy underdogs with nothing to lose, playing their best basketball at the perfect time, one win away from erasing a decade of irrelevance. And the market is eating it up. 61 cents, road favourite, against a team that just lost at home in their own play-in game. But here's what that 61-cent price is hiding. Charlotte played overtime basketball 72 hours before this game. Overtime. Those aren't just extra minutes. Those are the minutes that destroy legs, the possessions where you leave everything on the floor because you have to. And now they're traveling to Orlando, where a young, desperate Magic team is waiting with size, home court, and something the market keeps forgetting. They're humiliated. Orlando lost to Portland at the Kia Center on Monday, at home, in a win-or-go-home scenario. That's the kind of loss that either breaks a young team or galvanizes them into playing the most locked-in defensive game of their season. Picture that locker room after the Portland loss. You think those guys slept well? You think they're not absolutely itching to prove Monday was a fluke? And the market's giving you that Orlando team at home, with a size advantage, with desperation fuel at 40 cents. That's like getting GameStop at $12 because everyone forgot short interest exists. Let's talk about what actually decides this game, because it's not the pretty storylines. It's Moussa Diabate's left hip. The Hornets' forward is questionable, and if you don't think that matters, you haven't been paying attention to how Charlotte wins. Diabate gives them offensive rebounding, rim protection, and the dirty work that lets their guards create. Without him, Charlotte loses the possession battle against Orlando's front court. They lose second-chance points. They lose the physical edge that makes their speed dangerous instead of just frantic. The market hasn't fully priced that risk. 61 cents assumes Diabate plays and plays well. If he's limited or sits, that price should be 55 to 58 cents. But right now, the recency bias is screaming. Charlotte just won in overtime. Charlotte's hot. Charlotte's the story. And stories cost money when you're not careful. Ask anyone who bought AMC at 72 because Apes Together Strong made for a great poster. Here's the other thing nobody's talking about. These teams split their last 6 meetings 3-3. This isn't a stylistic mismatch where one team owns the other. This is a genuine coin flip dressed up as a road favorite because the market loves momentum. But momentum is a narrative, not an edge. And in single elimination basketball, narrative gets you hyped. It doesn't get you buckets when your legs are heavy in the fourth quarter. Orlando's path to victory is simple and ugly. Slow the game down, control the glass, force Charlotte into contested half-court jumpers instead of transition layups, make every possession a grind. And here's the beautiful part. They can do all of that. They have the size. They have the defensive discipline. They have a crowd that's going to lose their minds every time Charlotte misses, because everyone in that building remembers Monday's loss to Portland. If Orlando keeps this game in the 70s or low 80s, Charlotte's speed advantage evaporates. If they win the rebounding battle by 8 or 10, They're getting extra possessions while Charlotte's getting nothing but long rebounds and outlet passes that go nowhere. And if Charlotte's shooters are even slightly off, which happens when you played overtime 3 days ago, this becomes Orlando's game to win. The spread tells you what the smart money knows. Charlotte's -3.5 on the road. That's a 60 to 62% implied win probability in a neutral market. But this isn't neutral. Charlotte's coming off overtime. Orlando's at home. Diabate's questionable. And the head-to-head record says this should be closer to 50-50 than 60-40. So where's the value? Orlando at 40 cents is mispriced by 6 to 8%. If Diabate's confirmed limited or out before tip, that edge jumps to 10%. You're getting a home team with comparable talent, a size advantage, and maximum desperation at plus 147 on sportsbooks, or 40 cents on Kalshi. That's not a lottery ticket. That's a structural mispricing created by the market falling in love with Charlotte's story. It's like when everyone piled into a meme stock because the CEO tweeted a rocket ship, ignoring the balance sheet that looked like my bank account after a Vegas trip. Now let's talk about the secondary angles within this game, because if you believe Orlando's live, there are ways to amplify that edge. First half spread. Orlando's defensive identity means they start games locked in. If they're going to win, they're probably leading or tied at halftime. The first half line is usually tighter than the full game spread, which means you can get Orlando +1 or +1.5 in the first 24 minutes. That's value if you think their size and home crowd give them an early edge before fatigue becomes the story. Total points is the other angle. Charlotte wants to run. Orlando wants to slow it down. If Orlando controls tempo, this game stays under whatever the posted total is. The contrarian play is the under, especially if Diabate is out and Charlotte can't generate second chance points. A low-scoring physical game favors Orlando in every way. It shortens the game, reduces variance, and plays directly into their defensive identity. Think of it like this. Charlotte wants this to be a volatile meme stock swinging 20% in a day. Orlando wants it to be a boring dividend play that grinds out small gains. Guess which style favors the team that played overtime on Tuesday? And if you really believe the fatigue narrative, there's a prop market angle. Charlotte's 3-point percentage. They live and die by the 3. If their legs are heavy, they're missing open looks. That shows up in the shooting splits. Look for Charlotte under their season average from deep, especially in the second half when tired legs matter most. The contrarian truth nobody wants to hear. Charlotte at 61 cents is the public falling in love with a redemption story while ignoring the physical reality of playing overtime basketball and then traveling for a must-win road game. Orlando at 40 cents is the market underpricing desperation, home court, and a legitimate size advantage that gets even bigger if Diabate sits. This isn't about disrespecting Charlotte's season. They've earned this moment. But earning it and winning it are different things. And the market's paying you to bet on the team that has every structural advantage except the narrative. So here's your answer to the question we started with. Can a 10-year drought end on tired legs in a hostile building? Maybe. Basketball's weird, momentum's real. Charlotte could absolutely win this game. But should you pay 61 cents for that outcome when the physical evidence, the matchup data, and the injury uncertainty all point to a closer fight? That's where the market's wrong. The drought might end Friday night, but if you're trading this game, you're buying Orlando at 40 cents and letting Charlotte prove they can overcome everything working against them. Because in single elimination basketball, the best story doesn't always win. The team that controls the glass, defends without fouling, and makes tired shooters work for everything usually does. Thanks for listening to Parlay News. You can support our podcast by following the show, rating it 5 stars, and telling your friends. Remember, the content on this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and do not constitute financial advice. Prediction markets are extremely risky, and you should never play with more money than you are willing to lose. Always do your own research. Catch you on the flip.
Grab news. Thomas.